been a couple weeks since I was able to record something. I was traveling and for some work and then for some personal things. So it's been a minute since we had a chance to catch up. And I appreciate you hanging out, spending the time, and giving the attention that these kinds of thoughts that I have and these kinds of topics deserve. Hopefully you're finding some value in the things that I'm sharing, because they bring value to me, which is why I'm sharing them. So I appreciate you showing up, and which is kind of what I wanted to talk about today in regards to showing up and what that means. And I want to take that in the direction of the integrity of ourselves, the integrity that we hold for ourselves as we live our life day to day. Integrity can bring you freedom, and it brings the freedom when you know what integrity means to you, and you can clearly express that, not only for yourself but for people in your lives. And integrity was kind of explained to me at one point. It's kind of like the law of gravity, right? If you violate the law of gravity, you're going to get hurt. And unless you have some safety measures in place, of course. Integrity is kind of the same way. If you violate your integrity, you're going to get hurt, essentially, in certain ways, in different degrees as well, depending how far out of integrity you are. You could also label integrity as alignment. That's another good way to say that. That I actually use that term, was using that term more than I was integrity, so they kind of go hand in hand. And most of the issues that we as humans have in this world stem from being out of integrity. And most people don't really know what the integrity feels like for them or what it looks like for them, which is again why you're out of integrity, right? So it's kind of like this negative feedback loop. And when you are in integrity, in alignment with yourself, you are able to uphold your word, and your word is honored for yourself and for other people. And that word is, your word to yourself is foundational to the integrity and how we show up and when we're in alignment. Because without our word, without our integrity, you're able to more likely dismiss our discipline and dismiss our responsibilities, like making excuses and things. Might start off small at first, but after that can grow if you're continually out of alignment. And the thing about that is, our subconscious knows this, and it hears these things that we tell ourselves and say out loud or in our heads. These excuses we use to dismiss discipline and get out of alignment. So then you get further and further into that hole, right? And as a result of that hole that you're putting in, because you're out of alignment, people see you as unreliable. They see you as unpredictable, inconsistent, and even, fake to an extent. So much of our difficulties in life are because we don't know what that means to us, what our integrity means to us. And if you go back and listen to episode 7, Thought 7, I think it is, I share not reasons, but I give you an idea of why we don't trust ourselves. So that episode and this episode kind of go hand in hand. And what I said in that episode was about core values. I brought up core values. And core values play an important part here. And core values are what most people don't know about themselves. They haven't taken the time to say what's important to me. what boundaries have I not identified for myself and for others? How have I not been speaking up for myself and those boundaries? And you kind of discover those as you write these core values. So I actually want to share with you core values that I came up with for myself a few years ago when all this information was being presented to me. And mine are, there's 9 of them at the moment. I'm sure as I evaluate this over the years, things will get added, which is okay. Of course, if you put together a list and initially there's only 5 or 6, maybe every year you go back and you review it and look at a big long list of these words that you can consider core values. A lot of companies have core values. One of the companies that is based out of Missouri here is First Form. They live and die by their core values. So going back to mine are: be truthful. The most difficult thing is the truth, to tell it, to accept it, to know it. So the way I organize these is I give like 1 or 2 words and then kind of the definition of that. It's kind of how my brain was doing this back. So be truthful. The next one, number 2, is develop, cultivate, and strengthen relationships. Number 3, respect everyone and their most valuable currency of time. Number 4, commit to excellence. Stay disciplined, set goals, learn and apply. 5, encourage love, giving, effort, progress. 6, show gratitude for life. 7, accept responsibility for decisions, actions, and consequences. 8, be honest. This breeds growth in others and within. And 9, have fun. Live life, make an impact, take time to take care. So for me, those 9 kind of round out everything for me anyway. It covers myself and it covers other, relationships with others. So from these core values, you can see how understanding those and knowing those kind of puts your integrity in a frame, and you use that frame of integrity to create those boundaries and what you will and will not do for people, for lack of better terms, right? And what you stand for. And when you are in integrity with those values and those boundaries, people know where you stand on something, and they trust you. You build trust from this. And there are definitely some detractors from integrity, things that happen in our life that pull us out of integrity. Even if you have this list that I just shared with you, your own list as well, even if you have those every single day you're fighting these detractors from integrity. Things like culture, whether that's in your family, culture at work, culture in religion, etc. Where you grew up. Loyalty can even be a detractor, right? Because if you're fiercely loyal, we see that as a good quality. However, if you become loyal to a fault, as it's said, you end up doing things simply because you want to be loyal, not because you're staying in alignment with your values, if that makes sense. Some other things would be shame and guilt. Shame is saying, I feel bad about something. Guilt is saying, I did bad about something. And, so things like that, and avoidance and things like that. So, this is pretty important. And you don't really realize how important it is until it shows up in your life. But you have to be mindful of how you're feeling, right? So there definitely has to be some emotional intelligence in this area as well. And if you're not able to recognize why you're feeling certain ways, that means you're not able to go back and look at you don't have your core values in place. You don't have anything to align to. You don't have anything integral to hold yourself against. And that can be very frustrating if you don't take the time. And by me expressing this to you, showing you that I've learned these things and applied these things, now it is in your awareness. And so I would encourage you to take some time, think about this, think about your integrity, where you haven't been in integrity at certain parts of your life. And just do some digging and find out where that comes from, right? Part of emotional intelligence is just taking the time to understand where the feelings come from and sitting with them and being able to detach yourself from the actual emotion. Let the emotion run through, but then once it passes after 60 seconds to 2 minutes, then try to ask yourself, where is that coming from? And that's going to give you a lot of mindfulness around your feelings and emotions. And then that in turn will tell you, okay, I have been out of alignment in X area, So think of integrity as like the integrity of a car, right? If your car fails, your brakes fail, let's say, there's some bad stuff that could happen from that. Let's say you get in an accident and now you're late for work and you had a deadline, you didn't meet the deadline, so all these dominoes start falling because of the lack of integrity of the car. Same thing. If you are out of alignment, there's lack of integrity in you, all the dominoes fall in your relationships and your discipline and your responsibilities, things like that fall out of place. So integrity, I think you could see that integrity is not a nice to have. It's a necessary condition, right? It is something that should show up in every single moment of your life, not just when it suits you or benefits you, right? Going back to what I said about evaluating integrity and understanding emotional intelligence, a way you can evaluate the integrity is asking a simple question based on, if it's for yourself, the question is this what I want? And again, if you don't have core values and you don't have, if you don't understand your emotions and things, you're really not going to know what you want. So you got to kind of get clear on that first. But the question is this what I want for myself? And if you're doing something for others, the question is this in alignment with me? And I know that feels and sounds very black and white, but there's a lot of nuances in there that is going to vary situation to situation, of course. Like, if you made a commitment to pick somebody up at the airport and something comes up and you can't make it, don't just not show up, right? You have to call that person, send them a message, explain to them, hey, I'm going to be late. That way you're still in alignment with showing up for them and helping them, but they know that you're still going to be there. They can still rely on you and you're still telling the truth, right? That's just obviously one example. So this integrity idea, law of integrity, came out of this past weekend where I was at an event, a 4-day event, where we just dug really deep into our own selves. And this is one of the things that came out of that weekend. I mean, the whole weekend was based around integrity. And once we kind of got through this and we created some other things and discovered some other things about ourselves, I can attest to that fact that there's a great amount of freedom that comes out of work like this. And yes, you have to continually not evolve, but I guess so, continually evolve, but evaluate as well. However often you feel like is necessary, because once you kind of go down that path, you kind of realize that there's more to this than meets the eye. But it's very rewarding, especially when you can share this experience with people that you care about, and you end up creating very strong bonds and relationships with other people who are committed to excellence in their life. And it's a magnificent feeling, to be honest. I'm immensely grateful for the past weekend. And if you're curious about the weekend and the event, we can always talk about that and see how it could benefit you as well, because I'm surely going to continue this process for my life. So that's kind of all I wanted to share. Law of integrity, core values, being in alignment, and yeah, I'd be curious how this episode made you feel, how this thought made you feel, what kind of questions you might have. And if you do have questions and thoughts, write them down and answer those questions for yourself truthfully. Because if you ask those questions and you are honest with yourself, that's going to be extremely beneficial for you. And on the flip side, if you're scared to answer the question and you answer the question dishonestly and you lie to yourself, that is an immediate out of alignment type thing. So I would say steer clear of something like that. So, man, that was a lot for me, to be honest. That was some good stuff. I try to live this as much as I can. I'm a lot more conscious about it now when I have conversations with people and friends and family and at work and things. Always an uphill battle. Ever a work in progress. Ever in motion. So I really appreciate you showing up and providing your attention here. It means a great deal to me. And I know that this episode actually went a little longer than normal, but that's okay. It was necessary. So thanks for sticking with me. And as always, have a beautiful day.